Hello, my name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy Sister, and today we're going to be discussing Ophelia. Ophelia is a character from Shakespeare's play Hamlet, and it is often said that that you can completely remove the Ophelia plot from the story Hamlet, and it'll still work. But the big irony of saying that is that of all of the female characters from all of the plays of Shakespeare, Ophelia is the one that's the most popular, and there's even been plays, even in the modern time, where it's Ophelia without Hamlet completely, where it just hyper focuses on her in specific. So where did this? So within the play itself, Ophelia only appears a couple of times. She's like the romantic interest of Hamlet, and one could almost say that it was kind of shoehorned in, because that's why a lot of contemporaries be like, men from those times be like, you can just completely remove the Ophelia plot. So then, and also all of the interactions she has with Hamlet, most of the times are just cut off. He's very mean to her. Like in one of the scenes when after he finishes To Be or Not to Be, well, remember that he runs into her and then he says, to the nunnery with you, but but the nunnery, that's where they would send. It was also a slang for for the brothel. So he was just telling her go to the brothel with you, but also women that couldn't find husbands, they were also sent to the nunnery, because the families didn't want to continue the financial burden of looking after an unmarried woman. So then they'll be like, well, now you're the Catholic Church's problem. Well, we couldn't find you an earthly husband, but at least you're married to Jesus. But yeah, the long and short of it is that it was terrible being a woman back in the day. And it still kind of sucks even in today's modern standard, but yeah. And now this brings us into the painting of John Everett Millais in 1851. Up until this point in specific, Ophelia wasn't all that popular. One could almost say that John Everett Millais, this pre-Raphaelite painter, is the one personally responsible for the Ophelia mania that followed. But yeah, he created this painting in 1851, and it was done in two stages. The background elements and all of the other flowers, he painted it in the outside in the real world, because the pre-Raphaelites wanted a return to faithfulness to nature. Making nature painting and plants as accurately as possible. And then the other half of the painting is obviously Ophelia floating in the river before dropping dead. So then, the artist's motto was a maiden named Lizzie Sidar, who laid in a bath of water for hours and hours while Millais did his painting. And after the painting finished, she became ill for a very long time, because the bath water starts hot, but then after a couple of hours, especially they were from London, and anyone who lives in London knows that it gets cold very, very quickly, regardless of the season. And so then the actress who was posing for Ophelia was literally dying of cold. So also when Millais chose to her as a subject matter, the reason why he did it was that he wanted to make even death look beautiful, to beautify the mere act of dying. And even though he wasn't that big with the Academy and stuff, it was still that painting swept the entire art community by storm. It doesn't matter who looked at it, be like, this is the tits. So then after this famous painting, everyone had to have it became part of their artist portfolio. Do you have an Ophelia painting? So now we're gonna be looking at all of the other paintings of Ophelia that came out after 1851. because due to the Ophelia mania that John Everett Millais created. Alright, this one is by 1852, 1 year later, Arthur Hughes, and it's Ophelia by the river before she falls to her death, cause like a tree branch broke and then she fell to the river. Like even in like the play, they be like her funeral, like Hamlet just had to make it about him because like there was a guy crying for her death, and they'd be like, "Oh, I loved her more than you did." So take that song. But I'd be like, no, like Shakespeare established well how love is supposed to look like, as it started by Romeo and Juliet. If you love someone, you're not like the absolute worst to that person. So then, most of the Ophelia paintings is just like you don't. It's just usually her near the river or inside the river, or like it's very rare to see an Ophelia painting where she's like attached to Hamlet. You know, it just from this point on is Ophelia without Hamlet. So then this one is just Frederick Watson is Ophelia, but like it's another the character Ophelia. It was like more than anything, Hamlet was exploration of how two people cope with about how men and women cope with it, like the loss of a loved one, and both of them going crazy because of it. Cause like Hamlet, Ophelia lost her father, so then Hamlet's solution to that problem was that I'm gonna go kill Bill and I'm gonna find who caused my father's death and I'm going to murder him and to hell with the consequences. So then he was so hyper focused on his revenge plot that he completely like ignored Ophelia. And then eventually Ophelia also lost her father, and then her solution to her father's death is that her mind just checked out completely. So that's something, another way that you can overanalyze Hamlet as a study of how men and women, how madness manifests in both genders. Well, at least according to Shakespeare. And this one is 1863, John Arkansas Grimshaw, and it's the portrait of his wife as Ophelia, which is hilarious. Why do you want your wife to be like not Ophelia? Whatever. So then he just felt like painting his wife as a crazy Ophelia. This one is 1863, Arthur Hughes, and it's Ophelia with flowers near the branch near the river. So it's before her death. So yeah, somebody else doing an Ophelia. This one is Dante Gabriel Rossetti, and it's an unusual one depiction of Ophelia because it actually has Hamlet in the picture, and this one is called The First Madness of Ophelia, where she shows up like giving people random flowers, each with a special meaning. And then with one of them, she's like the one that she kept for herself is the rue flower, because she ruled the day that she came there, cause the day that she came there looking for a husband, and that's the day that she lost her father. And for a woman to lose like the father figure or the stuff that because like the father back in those days is the one that like arranged all your marriage, is the one that managed your money. It's like a woman without like a male figure in like the family, it was very helpless, especially if it was a father figure that like was good to them. So then it'd be like just the whole overwhelming despair of what's gonna become of my fate now that the father be dead. And this one is Pierre Auguste Scott's Ophelia, and it's interesting because like this Ophelia is completely devoid of her usual flower stuff, and it's really like it looks like a little prayer book. So just but I guess the only reason that it says that it's Ophelia is because she's like looking directly at the audience, but she doesn't have like the crazies, the flowers, or even near the river that is usually associated with Ophelia. Or maybe he just be like, or maybe the painter be like, well, I need to have an Ophelia on my portfolio, but I don't know how to draw flowers, so I just named this chick Ophelia and then check mark for that. And then I can hang out with my artist friends who all have painted Ophelia. You know, because of a requirement, every painter has to have at least one Ophelia.
It is Ophelia, but not the Ophelia. It's Ophelia from the name.
Yeah, my friend Ophelia. She's crazy. Look at her reading. She's nuts.
Maybe that's what he's saying. Look at this crazy woman reading. She's crazy, therefore Ophelia.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's Ophelia reading. And this one is 1873 Thomas Frank Dixie, and it's a more traditional rendition of Ophelia with her by the flowers near the river, near the tree before she falls into it. And this one is like most folks think that it was just like the male painters that got like hyper obsessed with Ophelia, but also like female painters got into the whole Ophelia craze. Like this is a pretty cool sculpture of Ophelia by Sarah Bernhardt, and like it's very even though this sculpture is still is still doing the Ophelia a la John Everett Millais, who first painted Ophelia when she first fell into the river and dropped dead. Because over here, like she's even like the way that the hair is displayed over here is the sculpture was trying to make the marble resemble water, and like the long and short of it is a really good sculpture of Ophelia. But as you can see, like they wanted to have the Ophelia painting, but not any painter can render water well. And this is even cooler because it's like a sculpture of Ophelia in like the water. So
Water in stone.
yeah, and trying to make like the hair and stuff and the movement look watery. So yeah. Yeah, take that, man. Like this Sarah made one of Michelangelo. Cause yeah, you can render veins, but yeah, try rendering water in marble. So yeah, so yeah. Like the feminists they like the Ophelia a lot because like they be like, and a lot of there've been a couple of feminists hyper focusing on Ophelia because they be like, well, she's a symbol of a woman that's been treated like a crazy person because she's not conforming to like the social norms and all that stuff. But then it be like, yeah, but in the play Hamlet, like she went nuts because like her father died, and anyone who's suffering from grief knows that usually messes you up. Yeah, like Hamlet was like the absolute worst to Ophelia. So I guess Ophelia's revenge after the well, then again she wasn't a flesh and blood creature, but like the revenge of the Ophelia character is that like there's even been places where she survived. Yeah, she fell in the river where somebody fetched her, or she knew how to swim. Where she outlived Hamlet and went on to live a rich and successful life. So the Ophelia character became bigger than Hamlet. This one is 1883 Alexandre Cabanel, and is the Ophelia. So this guy also tried to do an Ophelia a la John Everett Millais, where the branches broke and she's starting to sink into the water. But more than anything, it's not truly where she's very sunken into the water, where it just happened. You see that one of the legs is already sinking and the rest afterward. But it makes sense that you would like kind of have drowned, because have you ever tried swimming in like a ridiculously cumbersome dress? Well, first of all, don't do that, because there's a good chance that you're gonna drown. But anyone that's fallen into like a water wearing a like just a heavy dress knows it's a good word. Even if you know how to swim, it's gonna be difficult. Yeah. But yeah. But yeah, but you see that he's trying to like one up John Everett Millais, but you know he painted her right in the water with his actress person drowning in a bathtub. And this one is 1884 Konstantin Makovsky, obviously Russian, so Russian painter. So even Ophelia made it to Russia, the Ophelia mania. With all of the painters being like, I gotta have my Ophelia painting, you know. You can't be a painter if you haven't painted Ophelia in a very small, specific period of time. This one is 1888, the Ophelia of Marcus Stone. So yeah, if you see a chick with flowers in a medieval dress, it's usually Ophelia. And here's the Ernest Herbert's Ophelia, where she has all of the crazy flowers in her hair, and it's like in the woods with her hair down. 1889. This one is Ophelia or Madeleine Renier. This one is Arthur Racan's Ophelia before the tree branch breaks. And it was part of a series of like illustration for like the illustrated version of like the play Hamlet. This one is an Ophelia made by a woman, by Frances McDonough. And over here it says the date 18. Yeah, it's 98 or 95. I can't see like the number well. And it's interesting because like this Ophelia is is like right inside the water as she's running into it, so it's very reminiscent of the Ophelia, of the first Ophelia that made Ophelia popular, though, John Everett Millais, where she's like in the water sinking. And it's also the style of Art Nouveau, you know, like the good stuff, clean stuff. So even the Ophelia popularity is bleeding itself into the modern times. Like this Ophelia 1890 is by George Clarin, and anyone knows that like it's difficult to render waters, but you know, it's a chick with a lot of flowers and a medieval dress. That's your Ophelia. And this is an Ophelia by Henrietta Rea. So it's a scene where she's like giving flowers to the people in the castle, and they're all freaking out about it because, oh my god, this lunatic entered in here with like lots of flowers in her hair and like giving people random flowers while saying weird stuff. But more than anything, because the flowers, they are symbolic to some of them even like are related to like their crimes and their meanings, you know. So then, even if you think about it, Ophelia also kind of have place in the play a bit of a Cassandra role, where she knows what everyone's up to, but yeah, like she's accusing them with her flowers. I know what you did last summer, you are. But then she's like not acting in a way that conforms to like society. She's acting out of line, and this unmarried woman just being direct, coming out to the king and giving him a creepy flower. That kind of has mean, oh, you married the previous guy and wed his wife. Then you know, it's just she with her accusing flowers. And this one is Ophelia by the river by Joseph Lebrene. And again, Thomas Cooper got Ophelia by the river with a flower. But you see, like they want to draw Ophelia, but most of these painters they can't paint water and wet items to save their own life. You know, like they want to be Everett Millais, but no, I guess they just have to contend it. So we're just painting a random chick with crazy hair and flowers. This one is 1894, John Williams Waterhouse Ophelia. Like I chose one of the men. There were some painters like Waterhouse. He not only had one Ophelia painting, but he had like a baker's dozen. So then I just picked the one I like best of all of his Ophelia paintings. But sadly, none of them are like sinking in the water. None of them are like sinking in the water and stuff, you know. This one is 1890, Frederick Heiser's Ophelia. And this one is just falls into the water, and you know she's starting to sink into it, you know. And this one, and you can definitely see the influence of John Everett Millais of Ophelia. But because of like the angle of like the water and stuff, you can see that like she wasn't modeled inside a bathtub of water, but more like just she was lying on a slab of wood, and then they just put water over her, kind of, in order to get like the pose and stuff. But still, this painter gets extra point for painting an Ophelia that's within the water, drowned, like freezing to death and stuff. This one is 1903 by the symbolist Odilon Rendon. That's his Ophelia. And then here she is with like the flowers and like the hair and stuff, it's just the Ophelia that Everett Millais made popular. And this one is by the other McDonald lady, Margaret McDonald. There were two sisters that that they painted, and they both painted their own Ophelias. And this was more soft cubism, like a very abstractive version of the maiden in 1908. And the last Ophelia that I wanted to show you is one painted by me, yours truly. You can't be a painter without painting without having an Ophelia in your repertoire. Like my version, I was more or less mimicking the arrangement of Odilon Rendon. And the person posing as Ophelia is yours truly, and I kind of changed the flowers to have like a specific meaning or something. But mostly just flowers. Mostly just flowers that I like, that I have photographed in the past, and they didn't have like a deeper meaning into it. And she's wearing my pajamas, cause pajamas are very comfortable. It's a random self-portrait project, because I did a series of like self-portraits, and Amanda and I be this one looks fun, so I'll do a self-portrait of myself, Ophelia style. So yeah, that's the last Ophelia worth mentioning. A bit of self-promotion in the end. Bye bye and God bless.